And Sony has once again found success by not only ushering in a steady stream of quality exclusives, but also by being a great place for third parties to thrive. For this list, we wanted to stick with games that have received a proper PS5 release. You won't find any titles that need to be played through backward compatibility here. The games that made it onto the list either needed to launch on PlayStation 5 at the time of release, or receive a proper PS5 re-release. So, without further delay, here are the 10 best PS5 games that you can play right now. When Ghost of Tsushima was released on the PlayStation 4, it already felt like a next-gen game thanks to its stunning visuals and impressive open world. It was clear Sucker Punch had learned a lot about creating an engaging open world since its efforts on the Infamous franchise, which were pretty great at the time. But the director's cut is the definitive take on Ghost of Tsushima, and it's all the better on the PS5. This comprehensive package, even as a refined PS4 game, makes great use of the DualSense in both exploration and combat. Add in new lip sync for Japanese voiceover, and somehow, visual and performance improvements to an already stunning and well-running game, and you've got what is the must-play version of a must-play PlayStation game.
And die with honor.
The DualSense controller is one of the most defining characteristics of the PS5, as the nuanced haptic feedback and strategically used adaptive triggers create a level of immersion that feels genuinely special. And Astro's Playroom, which is quite literally designed to show off the capabilities of the DualSense controller, is still one of the most fun and imaginative showcases for it. But this would-be tech demo is also a fantastic game in its own right, with a delightful set of worlds to explore that all celebrate a different facet of the PS5 and different eras of PlayStation software and hardware. Astro's Playroom reminds players why they've loved PlayStation while giving them a reason to fall in love all over again. Its solid platforming, fun environmental puzzles, and intriguing set of collectibles will have you gunning for the platinum and getting it in no time. Arcane Studios' Deathloop is undoubtedly one of the more unique experiences to grace the PS5 so far. Arcane builds on the immersive sim bones from its past to create an incredibly dense and playful world. Figuring out the right paths to take, weapons and powers to use, and even times of day to visit certain locations makes exploration its own puzzle. And Arcane's beautiful Saul Bass-inspired world is filled with peculiar oddities to pick up on and exploit to complete your objectives. In a time where time loops are the feature du jour in gaming, Deathloop is one of the most unique and satisfying to navigate, making knowledge its own reward on top of a suite of amazing powers. And don't even get us started on its stunning soundtrack. Resident Evil has never shied away from the mystical and supernatural, and Village leans into those themes more than any entry in the series to date. From severed hands that can just simply be reattached, to floating killer dolls, to 9-foot-tall lady vampires with a now adoring fanbase, Resident Evil Village feels like wandering through an off-kilter circus. In one fell swoop, it gave us what will go on to become one of the most recognizable Resi villains ever, Lady Demetress, while still respecting the main antagonist story that began in Resident Evil 7. It also brings the series back to its Metroidvania roots in impressive fashion, requiring you to revisit areas several times throughout your playthrough, but with new tools at your disposal to explore them. It's by far the most fantastical the series has ever gotten, and it remains to be seen whether or not Resident Evil will ever return to its more straightforward zombie roots, or, at this point, if we'd even want it to, considering how fun, frightening, and ferocious Resident Evil Village is. Bluepoint Games had some high expectations to meet with the PS5 remake of Demon's Souls. Not only was it an anticipated remake of a beloved and landmark game, but it was also the first major showcase of what a dedicated PS5 game of this scope could look like. Fortunately, Bluepoint delivered, and Demon's Souls is jaw-droppingly gorgeous, adding so much rich detail to the levels, creatures, and characters you'll encounter throughout Boletaria. And it's also incredibly faithful to the source material while making enough modern improvements to make the adventure as fun and challenging to play today as it was when it debuted on the PS3. Bluepoint is a newly minted first-party studio, certainly proving itself with one of the deepest, richest, and most challenging experiences currently found on the console. And so early in the PS5's life, It's thrilling to know that this is just the start.
See? Just me.
As Insomniac's first truly exclusive PS5 game, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is a stunning showcase for what Sony's next-gen console can do, thanks to a series practically built to take advantage of all the new bells and whistles. Whether you're a newcomer to the duo's adventures or a longtime fan since the PS2 days, there's charm aplenty to be found in returning characters and brand new ones like the amazing Rivet and Kit. The delightful and surprisingly heartfelt story is at the core of a theme park-like adventure through a host of varied alien worlds, stunningly realized in both depth and clarity of detail while running so smoothly on the PS5. And Rift Apart includes one of the franchise's best suite of weapons, from the wacky topiary sprinkler to the powerful executor, all of which make great use of both the DualSense's haptics and adaptive triggers. Ratchet & Clank may be one of the longest running Sony franchises still seeing new entries, but if Rift Apart is any indication, there's still so much life, humor, and dazzling action left to experience. Peter Parker's on vacation and leaves his young spider apprentice Miles Morales to look after New York in a Marvel Spider-Man successor that builds on the rock-solid foundation of Insomniac's first game, while gorgeously blanketing New York with snow, holiday cheer, and next-gen polish. The improvements aren't just cosmetic, however. The eponymous hero has a few more spider powers at his disposal than Peter Parker, and these are cleverly adapted into new gameplay mechanics that, while they don't reinvent the weapon wheel, they put enough of a spin on it to make it feel fresh, sometimes literally, thanks to the DualSense controller. It doesn't feature as robust of a campaign or as many colorful villains as 2018's Spider-Man, but Miles Morales' story has just as much charm and heart as its predecessor, possibly more. Its tagline of "Be Greater" set a high bar, but Miles Morales somersaults over it with ease. Returnal is a trailblazer of sorts. Roguelikes have long been one of the most popular genres on the indie scene, with games like Spelunky 2, Dead Cells, Enter the Gungeon, and The Binding of Isaac leading the charge. But in the AAA space, we've never really seen anything quite like Returnal. It combines Housemarque's expertise in aggressive bullet hell arcadey shoot-em-ups with deep roguelike mechanics and a dense, chilling atmosphere, resulting in unforgettable experiences. Returnal's one issue on release was the inability to suspend its lengthy runs and save your progress, but since that's been patched, it's hard to find flaws in this incredibly daring and ambitious adventure. And the free Returnal Ascension update makes this remarkable game even better by adding campaign co-op and an excellent survival mode called Tower of Sisyphus that pares down the traditional Returnal experience into a more arcadey version. Add those two additions on top of everything else, and Returnal is a complete package that is hard to beat on the PlayStation 5.
I have to find a way to fix it all. And the answer...
Horizon Forbidden West builds on the already impressive foundations of Horizon Zero Dawn to tell a deeper, more thrilling story that amps up the series' explosive fights against complex robotic foes and blockbuster action sequences, while also adding lively settlements and thoughtful, intriguing side quests to the world. The Forbidden West itself is absolutely gorgeous on PS5, ranging from the incredibly detailed faces of the people you meet and costumes they wear, to sweeping and frequently stunning landscapes. There's a genuine sense of exploration here, and loads of completely involving world building to uncover as well for those wanting to learn more. A triumphant combination of enthralling combat, top-tier creature and character design, and a captivating open world, Horizon Forbidden West is an absolute blast and fantastic showcase for the power of the PS5. It's hard to encapsulate everything that makes Elden Ring such a monumental game in a short blurb, but let's try. At the core of it all is Elden Ring's incredible sense of freedom and discovery. There are open-world games that are bigger than Elden Ring, have a higher fidelity than Elden Ring, and quite frankly run better than Elden Ring. But few, if any, are as robust or as rewarding. The Lands Between is positively littered with branching paths that lead to catacombs, dungeons, caves, forts, castles, towers, even entire underground cities. And within each of them is some sort of unique challenge. From a trap-filled crypt with insta-kill chariots racing down every slope, to one of Elden Ring's many fantastic boss fights. The best part of it all is that every challenge comes with its own bountiful reward that may bend the difficulty curve in your favor, whether that's a new spell, summon, weapon, or material that lets you upgrade your gear. Elden Ring can be extraordinarily difficult, sure, but the freedom it gives you to maneuver through or around that difficulty is absolutely liberating, and makes it the most universally recommendable From Software game yet.
Unless, of course, thou shouldst take the crown.